Hello and welcome to WWJPS. This is your host, Vanessa Pinto. I'm going to pause here for just one moment. This is going to be a longer episode and a very special episode for this channel. For those of you who are new here, welcome. This is where I discuss sort of how I feel about what's going on in America, in the world, but especially how it relates to Americans. But this particular episode is about me. Because in the last few episodes that I've done, and since I started this channel in January, I get a lot of questions in the comment section. But the one I'd like to answer today, because this is a personal segment, is all of you see my content and you probably wonder why. You know, if I just want attention, if I'm just, a libtard, as some would say, if I'm just, whatever. The truth is, after they shot Renee Good in the face, any sort of shred of peace of mind I had was gone. And I went on a spree to try to find understanding, to try to find a solution. This channel was created in that interim. But in that vein, and now understanding that, I'm going to show you all what I see in my mind when I think of America, why I started this channel.
So we're in a spot in this country where the president of the United States and an entire political party is defending Donald Trump, who was on the Epstein files over 30,000 times, ignoring court orders. An entire Republican Party is defending a man who they know molested little girls. Just think about that. It's been 2 months now since they were required by the court of law.
I am wondering if you are all pedophiles, because you don't seem to care that children are being sexually abused. So the only thing I could ascertain is that you guys probably enjoy child porn. I don't know, right? You're not looking. I mean, if somebody claimed that I was, I would say, I absolutely am not. I wouldn't let it stand as fact, but you guys love to let it stand as fact that that's what's going on, because you're not willing to stop it. So, I mean, if you're willing to perpetuate it, what else could you be?
Shut up, bitch. After like the 400th Truth Social, Ron reached the same conclusion that everyone on the globe reached, which is this guy's not strong, he's weak. Strong.
Now, keeping in mind what I told you prior, for 46 years, that's how long I believed a story. I believed that America was the freest country. I believed that if you worked hard, if you played by the rules, if you kept your head down and your credit score up, the system would work for you. That the flag meant something, the institutions actually practiced. I believed it through nearly 20 years as a paralegal in California courtrooms. I believed it when I got accepted to law school. I believed it while I was building this channel, even while I was documenting week after week, video after video, the exact evidence that the story wasn't true. And then one day I stopped believing it. And it wasn't gradually. It took millions of pages of government documents to do it. And then it happened all at once. What most of you don't know is that I actually discovered YouTube in October of 2025. And the only reason I did is because I had run out of murder porn. I was fucking obsessed with Dateline. And while on YouTube, all of a sudden I found independent media. All of a sudden I found things I had not seen. And while things were happening on regular media, I was getting information from YouTube that was accurate and that I had not seen. So one, that told me our media is propaganda. And I'd believed that for a long time. So going down that road, then my mind went here.
What it's going to take for Americans to rise up.
Americans won't rise up. We will continue to sleepwalk our way into a techno-feudalist mass surveillance state, where tech oligarchs will collect data on our every thought, our every action, our every emotion. AI will use up every last drop of drinkable water, poison our air, and slowly drive us insane with noise pollution. Politicians will continue to use our tax dollars to bomb people overseas while lying to our faces every time they open their mouths. ICE and the cops will continue to kill people in the streets with total impunity because Americans' attitudes are, it's their problem, not mine. Because as long as we have things like Love Island and sports and celebrity gossip and brunch and playdates and the new iPhone and did you see the video about blah, blah, blah? Americans will never rise up.
So, did you know that these 9 countries are the countries that don't accept the central banking system? You notice we've been poisoned against all of these countries for a number of reasons. Wondering if those reasons are accurate.
Had taken over our whole country, which had been able to occupy key positions in our intellectual and spiritual life and in our political and economic life. From these key positions, they were able to control and monitor the whole nation.
Call them what they are, concentration camps and rape facilities. How do minors, children, immigrant children, get detained and then separated in children-only facilities and end up becoming pregnant? This is evil incarnate, man.
These concentration...
And look it up. The one he's speaking about is in Texas, but it's happening all over this country. And I had to say to myself, you're living in a country, Vanessa, where there are concentration camps, where people, including American citizens, not that it matters who is in there, no one deserves to be in there. They are being raped. They are being murdered. They are being tortured. People are betting on whether or not they're going to commit suicide. And people are still going to brunch. And everybody's still paying their taxes. Starts to fuck with you.
Concentration camps. What can be done other than trying to vote?
Or like when I realized that CPS is a child trafficking operation. About how all of those immigrant kids who get missing from their parents, right? They're all just missing. All of them are missing, right? And then where do they go? And more importantly, who takes them there? And again, I'm a critical thinker. I was accepted to law school, and after looking at all of this became the nightmare in my mind. I realized what was going on in Gaza was part of a test. We failed. And what is happening in Palestine? Oh, wake up, folks, because it's going to happen here.
To do to Palestinians, willing to do to you.
Yeah, why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So.
We're videotaping you?
There's something defense contractors call the Palestine Laboratory. So the Israeli occupation government tests out all this high-tech spyware, espionage equipment, AI, smart drones, facial recognition, smart shooter systems. Very cyberpunk and very dystopian. The big marketing thing is it's tested in Gaza. It's tested in the West Bank. Yes, they say it like that. It's called the Palestine Laboratory. The journalist Anthony Lowenstein wrote a book on it because they actually call it the Palestine Laboratory. And the Palestine Laboratory is now at a local police department near you. So
YouTube helps you find gems like this.
If Trump ran for president, I'd make sure, and if not, then he could say goodbye to the trust fund accounts and low gas prices for Americans.
So all of this information went around in my mind, right? And now let's add everything that's happened from Iran to Renee Good to Alex Preddy to Lorenzo just a few weeks ago and another one in Maine, right? And I did something about it because I realized, again, I could protest, I could do a lot of things. So the protest I chose was to drop out of law school, withdraw. Nothing happened. I chose not to continue. I also booked a round trip ticket to Portugal and said that if I can find an apartment, then I'm meant to move there. And we'll get into that. That's the second part of this announcement. But yeah, I'm leaving this country because of all the things you saw before that. But we're going to go a little further than that because you have to understand why I actually have put this time into this channel. The Epstein files broke my mind because that's what they were supposed to do. I think what no one really understands, and what I've come to understand in this disgusting, weird world with shadow governments and strange elites, is that they have this plan for us. And we don't really have a whole lot of control over it. But beyond that, it's what are they willing to do? How much have they done to me prior? And when I looked back at all the years and I was like, why did I want to go to college so bad and have a job? Why did I feel like that was the most important thing in my life? Why did I feel like I never deserved holidays? That working from 6:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. without really getting paid for it beyond your regular salary, that gave me that atta girl. Why did I think that going to law school would enable me to be a lawyer so that I wouldn't have to worry about retirement because it's so expensive here and I was going to work until I was dead? Why on earth did I think so little of myself? Well, it's because of the American propaganda that I didn't realize I had swallowed, I had taken down, and boy, did I fucking eat it up.
Was the most recent operator in a networked abuse system that goes back hundreds of years. In 1989, an unemployed Belgian electrician named Marc Dutroux was convicted of kidnapping and raping 5 young girls. He served only 3 years of a 13-year sentence. After his release, he did it again. This time, he took 6 more girls aged 8 to 19, and he held them in a soundproof dungeon he built below one of his 7 properties which he purchased without a job. This time, it became a national scandal because he was credibly accused of supplying girls to Belgian politicians, judges, and police officials. Once again, the investigation was stopped, and his files went missing inside of government facilities. And more than 20 witnesses died under strange circumstances like suicides, car crashes, and sudden illnesses. The official story is that he was a lone predator with a few accomplices. You can also look back to 1987, where the police arrested 2 well-dressed men in Tallahassee, Florida, who were traveling with 6 children who they did not know. The kids were starving.
Nobody. Jeffrey Epstein was the fall guy. He's who we were given. Let's just be honest about that. The real bit of information was the files, folks. It was the files. Did anyone really go through those files? Oh my God, I took them apart like Discovery that I was waiting for in a case that I fucking just needed to win. Where you are going through every nook and cranny, and I looked, and the more that I looked, I realized we had absolutely no control over this world. And that if this country did not stand up and let the elites, the shadow government, and this country know that we will not tolerate this, that's what they do. And we will have given them permission. And that is why I'm leaving. So let's explore that.
A new leader will be elected. They'll flip the switch, say that because of the crisis, because of the dangers that we face in the world, we need more authority, we need more power, and there will be nothing the people can do at that point to oppose it.
This new law that I signed today will allow surveillance of all communications used by terrorists, including emails, the internet, and cell phones.
They won't take us very seriously, and they will not actually try to stop us till it's too late.
The CIA actively seeks to hire people who have what they call sociopathic tendencies. Not sociopaths. Sociopaths have no conscience. They'll just blow right through a polygraph exam. But they're impossible to corral. They're impossible to keep under rein. And it's because they're not able, their brains won't allow them to feel regret or remorse. Now, in business, most CEOs are sociopaths. Most, not all, but most, especially in big companies, because they claw their way to the top, usually on the backs of the people around them. They don't feel bad screwing the next guy to get that next promotion. The CIA wants people.
Sound familiar? Sounds like a lot of Americans, actually. But let me tell you what 46 years of crude propaganda does. Well, propaganda. And I'm not talking about the posters and the slogans, because I didn't get that as a kid. I just, the flag. But I don't remember much of anything else. I'm talking about the sophisticated kind, the kind that's woven into sitcoms, mortgage applications, and school assembly, the kind that teaches you that employee-tied healthcare is normal, that only 2 weeks of vacation are generous, that working until you die is a retirement plan, that surveillance is safety, that billionaires are geniuses, and that if the system isn't working for you, the defect is in you. The most effective propaganda doesn't tell you what to think, it tells you what's normal. And then it prices dissent out of your reach, because who has time to question the system when you're working 60 hours? When I was working, and that's when I realized, fuck, Vanessa, when did you go to sleep? When did you go to sleep? And I realized I was never asleep. I was working and working and working like every other fucking American, bone tired, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. Suddenly I'm in law school and I have a lot of time to critically think. And let me tell you, there's a reason they don't want us to critically think.
People like that. Because those are the people who are going to break into a foreign embassy. A normal person would not advocate breaking into a foreign embassy. That's sovereign territory.
The system wasn't built for you to win. You went to school to memorize facts you never use. You were trained to raise your hand, wait your turn, and follow instructions. Then they told you, get a job, work 40 hours a week, give half of it to tax, retire at 67 if you're lucky. That's not a life. That's a script. And most people don't question it because they're too tired from living it. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's when you realize freedom was never going to be handed to you. You have to build it.
Started reading lots of banned books. Well, that they're trying to ban. 1984, The Communist Manifesto, Aleister Crowley. I never really thought about these people. He's the guy that was Al Welt, right? He was the weird sex magic guy who was truly demonic and had all of these things. And so people like Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons, the guy that developed JPL, which is where some of those scientists who are missing are coming from. See how this all somehow goes together, even though it sounds crazy? But essentially, when you look at it all together, it all makes sense. Like I said, Jeffrey Epstein was 1 in a million. Everything that's been happening has been happening for a very long time.
That you actually believe is real.
That's all real. It's occult worship. They believe in magic. You could get into like Aleister Crowley, all that's real. I mean, he wrote books about it. It's not like they were trying to hide it, but these are the elites. These people wrote extensively about parties they were having. They were summoning demons and they harm children. That is the world we live in. The craziest part is the people that protect them. Oh, for money. Everyone knew what Epstein was doing. He was protected. It's a system, and you need to wake up and realize that our world is in fact being run by if the Epstein thing didn't wake you up to the fact that it's left and right, you're still asleep. And these are ancient problems that we have. People that worship and summon demons and believe in the occult.
Yeah, that's also when I realized that this problem was far beyond what I could imagine, right? And so that is when I actually decided to get political. And that was when I actually started to get political and started to go down, okay, we'll just vote in the Democrats, right? Still thinking that we had some sort of influence over that, right? Hadn't quite gone down the complete darkness. And then we had that first shutdown. Remember? The first one where there were the food lines. It was before Thanksgiving. The one that was really long, where the TSA lines were just crazy. Where Trump literally was starving everyone from veterans to even our military. They had to beg to give them, I mean, it was crazy. But people were willing to do it. It was the first time that American people were like, nope, shut it down. We need health insurance. And what happened? Democrats, the turncoats, and that's when I went, oh, Vanessa, oh, God. And then that's when I realized that Israel has either bribed or blackmailed every single one of our politicians, that Israel's had an agenda for a very long time, that Ghislaine Maxwell's father wrote our textbooks. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein was in the White House. He was in Buckingham Palace. They laugh at us. And when I started to see all of this together, I started to realize, how is this affecting you, Vanessa? And it is indeed affecting me, because we're going to go a little further and see what else we found.
Jackson was trying to say what it was. Kanye West was trying to say what it was.
It was a Jewish doctor.
Michael Jackson had a list of the 6 Jewish people who he said were messing with his life. Rabbi Shmuley was on the list. They called him an anti-Semite because he was talking about control in Hollywood and people that he was fighting.
Who's Rabbi Shmuley?
He called himself Michael Jackson's rabbi. Is just a person that is constantly threatening people out in the open and is somehow allowed to do it because of what his father did for the state of Israel. And often you will find that thread of the people who are the most deranged and the most psychopathic and yet somehow seem to be allowed to function in society. You just have to figure out who their parents were, who their uncles were, and they've done something.
Yeah, she's not wrong. And when I started to go further and further and further, and first of all, Candace Owens, why am I choosing her, right? Such a divisive voice. No, actually a truthful voice when it comes to this, and she's not anti-Semitic, because none of this is anti-Semitic. These are Zionists, folks. They are not Jews. They are Kabbalists. That is not Judaism. That is not what they practice. So then I had to go down that other dark road where I went, wait, they didn't just traffic children. Oh my God, you mean that shit that you read in the Bible about people sacrificing their children to Baal and God had to tell them not to? The weird shit that you thought the Jehovah's Witnesses made up? Wait. That's what they're doing. And that's partially how they're keeping our country under total domination. And then I realized there was nothing I could do. Being in law school and a lawyer wasn't going to help me. And how much more of my money was I going to give to those student loans? So, nope, I'm going to pay them out, but I won't incur any more debt because they will replace the lawyers. That is also what I came to find out. I was like, oh my God, Vanessa, you idiot. They're not going to replace the paralegals. They can't. That's still too non-automated. But the lawyers, yes, they can. Yes, they can. And that's when I realized there was really no escape to this. And working for the rest of my life was going to still end up me homeless, right? And that's when all of a sudden I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? Because I still hadn't thought of leaving quite yet. I was still an American. I still avidly thought that somehow I could figure it out in this country.
We've set out to overthrow functioning constitutional democracies in over 20 countries. We manipulated elections in dozens of countries. We created standing armies and directed them to fight. We went after to organize ethnic minorities to encourage them to revolt. The first thing we did in Nicaragua was to go to the Mosquito Indians, who had never gotten along with the other people in Nicaragua very well, and give them more money than they had seen in the entirety of history, and arms and training and rationales and sanctuaries in Honduras, and sent them into Nicaragua to attack, kill, fight, rape, burn, pillage. And this has been a technique the CIA has used in Nicaragua, in Thailand, in Vietnam, in Laos, in the Congo, in Iran, Iraq with the Kurds, in different parts of the world. We created, trained, and funded death squads like the...
You can choose to not to believe it or not. Start going through the CIA declassified files. While I don't have receipts for all of this, believe me when I tell you if this actually lives in my mind, there is some shred of proof to it, and especially with the CIA shit. And that was the most disturbing of all.
Treasury police in El Salvador. And we've assassinated world leaders, including the United States.
People are afraid for NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers after what he just admitted to Tucker Carlson.
Leave us alone. Leave us alone.
Yeah, stop spying on me.
Yeah. Get off my computer, get off my cameras, get off my Ring camera, take down all this stupid CCTV cameras everywhere that are watching everything. And because the next step to all of this, people don't realize this, and this is the facts, is China and what's going on there, and social credit scores, and your entire life monitored. Like, that's where we're going.
The one who is giving the billions.
This program, when it did end, the men who ran it did not cooperate with investigators. They did not come forward. They committed another crime. They destroyed evidence.
MK Ultra was a top secret illegal experimentation program run by the CIA from 1953 to 1973. It was designed to develop mind control techniques, brainwashing procedures, and truth serums used for espionage, interrogation, and psychological torture.
I do believe that the government should compensate victims and their families, specifically pertaining to this awful program. We also heard that there was horrifying experimentation taking place at juvenile detention facilities on American wayward children.
Speaking with the National News Desk Tuesday, Luna adding she believes.
And I don't remember what happened, but now I do. Now I do.
He's talking about MK Ultra. He was experimented on as a child, and those were some of the things that he discussed before he committed suicide.
And I want revenge. I do. I'm not going to lie to you. I want revenge. I want these people gone. I want these beings gone. They shouldn't be able to torture people like this. They shouldn't be able to do things to children like what they did to me. And the things that
the CIA did those things to him, folks. The CIA.
I'm now remembering that happened to me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be crying like this. I'm sorry.
Epstein's chalkboard that I decoded was the modern MK Ultra blueprint. And now, Congress is finally holding new MK Ultra hearings. Representative Luna says the old CIA...
That's when I realized, oh my God, one, how much mind control have they been using in this country that I hadn't even been aware of? Well, think about it, Vanessa. You were willing to literally work your life away. I mean, I remember feeling guilty sometimes for taking my vacation. It was a point of pride how much I could work. Oh my God. Because that gave me something. Now it gives me nothing. I realize what that is. That was for someone else. None of that was at any part for me. But the mind control thing keeps coming up over over again. This country uses it a lot on its citizens, and we need to be aware of that because with AI, with Palantir, with all of this shit, folks, where do you think it's going, huh?
CIA mind control files were destroyed, buried, and hidden from the public. But the program didn't disappear. It evolved. The left side of the chalkboard was the control formula. The right side was the delivery system. The old MK Ultra was one person in a room getting broken. The modern MK Ultra is mass scale. Culture, schools, celebrities, algorithms, money, perception. They don't need to drug one person anymore. They can tune the whole population. MK Ultra didn't end. It became the system.
The most recent operator in
the CIA, we didn't give a hoot about democracy. I mean, it was fine if a government was elected and would cooperate with us, but if it didn't, then democracy didn't mean a thing to us. And I don't think it means a thing today. The true goal of the United States government is control. And they feel that if the United States did not control the governments of Latin America, then somebody else would.
It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember the devil is somebody knows it. The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost.
No, the devil scares me.
Satan is at the number 1 or 2.
John F. Kennedy was assassinated by CIA under Allen Dulles' with the joyous cooperation of pedophile J. Edgar Hoover, founder of the FBI, and the approval of Lyndon Baines Johnson, the most crooked politician in history up until Hillary Clinton, with the active...
Oh my God, I think that's so funny because Trump called her Crooked Hillary. The speech I mean, who knows if he took it from that. But one, that was another thing I had to come to the terms with the fact that Obama, Biden, all of them, because if you make it that far, you've sold your soul down the road and you have participated in the shadow government, you have danced for all of us, and your entire role as president was a lie because you never fucking controlled anything. Israel and the shadow government did.
Participation of the Bush family. George W. Bush Sr. was part of the deal, and Howard Hunt was part of the deal. Reince Priebus is the epitome of the rigged system. Reince Priebus and Paul Ryan and probably Mike Pence represent the rigged system. They represent the Bush family. They represent Dick Cheney, Bob Gates, all of these people who are the establishment. Bill Gates is sterilizing people all over the world, okay? Marco Rubio is a closeted gay. He's being blackmailed. John Kasich has his own issues. We don't need a National Security Council.
Now, seeing everything, right? Because we all know that politicians are corrupt. For God's sake, how many in Congress have been making millions for years, insider trading, and now it's, my God, even the guy that's taking the videos is insider trading. So I'm very, very aware that there's corruption, but Trump took it to a whole new level. The Trump crime family is by far superior at what they have done and the amount of money. But the pay-to-play thing wasn't just $250. Pay-to-play has been from the very beginning. That's what the tariffs were for. The tariffs were for pay-to-play. Each country that got a deal also got a golf course, maybe got something else. Then he got a plane. Then he got this. Then he got that. Then the kids got drone contracts. Then Ivanka and Jared bought an island, right? To see that corruption that blatant, I mean, for God's sake, he cut himself a check from the American people because he said that he was upset about being investigated. We're living in a fascist country. And so what do you do when you're surrounded and you realize that there's no one coming to save you? Well, you think. And that's when I realized what all of this had done to me personally, you know? My father raised me to critically think, to challenge my environment, not to decorate it. He's gone now, but I swear the moment everything changed, I could hear him asking me the question I'd been avoiding. ¿Y qué más, señorita? Which is, and what more do you need to see, right? So it's such a scale of betrayal as a human being, and seeing just how far it went. At the time, I still wasn't quite sure what to do, even seeing all of this. And then Thomas Massey lost his election. And boom, ya, pow. The spell was broken. And once the spell was broken, I realized, you need to go, Vanessa, you need to go. I mean, I actually cried that day. I remember when I got the results and I cried because I was like, Israel is so blatantly, and they even laughed about it. Netanyahu got on, he was like, this is what's going to happen. And again, I put the pieces together and I put the pieces together and I said, Israel, oh dear God, they want to punish us because America is so entitled that we have concentration camps that we don't talk about. I mean, people complain about money, they complain about inflation, they complain about homelessness, they complain about being fired, and all, AI, all of those are very valid concerns that are scary, not having health insurance. I don't really see a lot of people protesting about the concentration camps, not in the same amount. There are certain people that still don't discuss it, and those are the people with enough money to pay it and silently be bitter in their home, but not dare ever step out of line, you know. Not care that there's a girl that's been given Depends because that's what they were doing, to not give women menstrual pads. They just made them wear adult diapers, or the maggots in their food, or the girls that are getting raped, the boys that are getting raped. The amount of torture. And this is the country you live in, Vanessa. This is the country you pay taxes to. This is the country you've been so fucking asleep in that this is what you got. Pay attention. So I went, and what did I find? And see, a new woman was born. I will be starting a new channel called Pinto in Portugal, which will discuss everything that's been going on. I did go to beautiful Portugal. On the first day I found the apartment. On the last day, I signed the lease. And what's funny is Pinto is actually a Portuguese name. And for years, we'd been teased about it as a kid because in America, there's a Pinto car, there's a Pinto bean, there's a Pinto horse. And so as I was signing the lease, the attorney looked at me and she said, Pinto, you know, that's a Portuguese name. And I said, I know, we did come from Portuguese, but we landed in Colombia. She said, well, either way, you know, at some point your family came from here, so welcome home. And what a feeling that was. So let's take a look at Vanessa's new home. It's different. Copyright. It's funny, when I got there, I stopped caring about what the hell is happening in America because look at, not a piece of trash on the floor. You see that person? That is a happy person. That is a person who isn't filled with fight or flight and wondering if ice is around the corner. That is a person not worried about what's in her food. That's a person who is completely present in her life for one of the first times ever. Ever, 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 ever. And I mean, to find it, this is what I found. So I went and I was like, I kept trying to find something that was wrong with it because there's that American in me. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I realized those shoes drop in America. In other countries, people don't treat you that way. We are treacherous and you need to be a survivor to survive in this country. And I used to do it because there was a reason. There's not a reason anymore. There's just not. There is no longer a reason to ever, ever, ever deal with that again. So what did I do? I put everything into boxes and went away. Because ultimately, folks, we're not even close to done with what else is happening. Because the AI shit.
If you don't know this already, I really need you to pay attention. You are not getting the old world back anymore. The world pre-COVID is never coming back. The world pre the destruction of Palestine is never coming back. The world pre-World War III is never coming back. If you still harbor hope that you will receive the comfort of the old world returning into your daily life again, you gotta let it go. What you need to do is be preparing yourself.
I think it's a coincidence that democracy is struggling at the same time that digital tech is on the rise. It is not a coincidence. And there are two reasons for this. One, code tends to be very authoritarian. If your car says this is the speed limit and it's coded in, there's no leeway, there's no emergency, there's no negotiation, there's no paying a fine. Code rules. And who is making the rules of that code? It's not your political representative, it's a couple of white guys in Silicon Valley. The second reason why AI is very dangerous to democracy is surveillance. The kinds of AI that we're building at the moment needs troves and troves of data. Much of that data is personal data, and personal data is dangerous. When the citizenry doesn't have the power over that personal data, companies and governments, or either both, have too much power. And importantly, no technology is predetermined. Technology is by design. We are designing these things.
Foreign policy. Stop supporting Israel! Stop supporting Israel! Israel committed a genocide in Palestine. It's still ongoing. And now they're committing another genocide in Lebanon. And what are you doing? You're serving Israel! Stop serving Israel!
All right. The core of our... Is that continue now?
I am happy to say that I am convinced that the job destruction in the next couple of decades is going to be massive. I think technology has always created and concentrated wealth but destroyed jobs. But honestly, one of the things that I struggle with, getting out of the bed every morning, is that my job is to help people destroy jobs.
From one programmer who said you guys were basically stealing people's stuff and not paying them, and then he wound up murdered. What was that?
Also a great tragedy. He committed suicide.
Do you think he committed suicide?
I really do. It looks like a suicide to me.
Why does it look like a suicide?
It was a gun he had purchased.
He was definitely murdered, I think. There were signs of a struggle, of course. The surveillance camera, the wires had been cut. He had just ordered takeout food, come back from a vacation with his friends on Catalina Island. No indication at all that he was suicidal. And then he's found dead with blood in multiple rooms. Have you talked to the authorities about it?
I have not talked to the authorities about it.
His mother claims he was murdered on your orders.
Do you believe that?
I'm asking.
I mean, you just said it, so do you believe that?
I think that it is worth looking into.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
So there's a part in law school where you learn professional responsibility and ethics. I was going through that portion. And part of being a lawyer is you have final say, meaning even if your client disagrees with you, if it is the law, you have to be the final say. You cannot go into the courtroom and put anything in there that is not the law, right? So that's what I did with myself, right? Because if this was a case, I'd say, you know what? Do you really want this to go to trial? Do you really maybe want to interact with ICE Vanessa? Do you really want to maybe sit here and incur more loans? Maybe find out what happens. Maybe women don't get to vote anymore. Maybe more and more of our rights get taken away. Or are you going to cut your losses? And are you going to go to a beautiful place where you'll learn a new language and where, quite frankly, I get to find out who I am? And like something you do when you're 18, but no. I was like, did you want to be a lawyer? Are you really this bitchy? Are you really this intense? Or did you have to be to survive in this country and just survive toxic humanity? I am so sick of myself and sick of this country, and I am quite ready to go to another. I realized my choices were to stay and normalize it, stay and burn out, scream at it, or withdraw my consent. Dismiss your case, basically, settle it out. People keep asking me, isn't leaving giving up? Isn't it running away? Well, no, hear me on this. Leaving is my protest. Every system that exploits you needs one thing from you: your participation, your labor, your rent, your debt, your data, your compliance. I spent 46 years feeding the machine. The most radical thing I could figure out how to do, the thing fully within my power, no permission required, was to stand up and walk out. Take my labor, my taxes someday, my attention, my one wild life, and withdraw. So I withdrew from law school. I set up a loan plan. I now have a one-way ticket to Portugal, and I'll have a bank account. I set up my utilities. That was, oh my God. That's what Pinto in Portugal will be about. All of the adventures I have in a place where I don't know the language, where I'm learning the language, where I'm learning everything for the first time, and where I'm going to be a much different version of myself, you know? I'm starting out in a town where I have to point at pastries. My furniture situation is negotiation. My boxes are somewhere in custom. My cat will adjust to Atlantic humidity. And I've never felt more free in my entire life. This channel isn't going anywhere. If anything, distant sharpens the eye. The investigations continue. And we'll talk about the visa process, the real cost, the mistakes on Pinto in Portugal. Because here's my final thought, and it's the thesis of everything I made. They sold us a story, and there's no alternative. That this is just how life is, that the cheapest propaganda of all, not America's great, but there is nowhere else and no other way. There is somewhere else. There are other ways. I'm living in one. I didn't leave because I stopped caring about what happens to America. I left because I finally started caring what happens to myself. I took my life back. And if you've ever stood in your kitchen at midnight thinking this can't be all there is, this channel's for you.
There, shivering in my pajamas, watched the whole world go up in flames. And when it was all over, I said to myself, is that all there is to a fire? Is that all there is? Is that all there is? If that's all there is, my friends, deep down,
take care, folks.
Sing.
Love yourselves.
Let's break out the
I'll see you in Portugal.